The Midsummer Marriage is an opera in 3 acts, with music and libretto by Michael Tippett. The work's first performance was at Covent Garden, the 27th of January 1955, conducted by John Pritchard. The reception of the opera was controversial over perceived confusion as to the libretto and Tippett's use of symbols and psychological references. Nonetheless, the opera has received at least 10 more productions, including 2 further productions at the Royal Opera in England, Wales, Scotland, Germany, Sweden and the United States. The premiere performance was recorded, and has been issued on compact disc. Covent Garden first revived the work in 1968, conducted by Colin Davis, with the ritual dances choreographed by Gillian Lynne, and in 1970, where the production formed the basis of the first commercial recording. Tippett extracted the 4 ritual dances from the opera as a separate concert work. Story background. The story of the Midsummer Marriage was consciously modeled after Mozart's The Magic Flute. Both traced the path to marriage of one royal and one common couple. Jennifer and Mark correspond to Pamina and Tamino, the earthy Jack and Bella to Papageno and Papagena. Kingfisher stands in for the Queen of the Night, the ancients for Sarastro and his priests, and so on. But the composer's first inspiration for the work was visual. Tippett recalled imagining a wooded hilltop with a temple, where a warm and soft young man was being rebuffed by a cold and hard young woman to such a degree that the collective magical archetypes take charge. Jung's anima and animus. The character Sosostrenus is named after Madame Sosostris, the famous clairvoyante in T.S. Eliot's poem The Waste Land, and Kingfisher's name is inspired by the Fisher King character mentioned in the same poem. Tippett was first given the idea of attempting a verse drama by reading Eliot's plays, and he corresponded with the poet with an eye to collaborating on the libretto for his opera, tackling the job himself when Eliot declined. Performance history. The Royal Opera House has mounted 3 productions of The Midsummer Marriage, in 1955, 1968 and 1996. The 1996 production was revived in 2005, to mark the centenary of Tippett's birth. The lavish original production had costumes and stage designs by Barbara Hepworth and choreography by John Cranko. In 1976, Welsh National Opera staged a production designed by Nana Stubbs that they toured in cities such as Leeds. The cast that included Felicity Lott as Jennifer and Helen Watts, who had played the role in London in 1968, and recorded it in 1970 as Sosostris. David Cairns read that it was this production that showed the opera responds very readily to simple, imaginative staging, and that there were never any serious problems except in our attitude. Other British productions have been put on by English National Opera and Opera North, both in 1985, and Scottish Opera in 1988. Abroad, the opera has received at least 5 productions. The German premiere was on the 29th of September 1973, at the Badisches Staatstheater Karlsruhe with Lieselott Riebmann as Jennifer. Another German production was at the Bayerische Staatsoper in 1998. Other productions have been at Stockholm in 1982, San Francisco in 1983, New York City Opera in 1993 and the Lyric Opera of Chicago in 2005. Concert performances have been given at the 1977 London Proms, which was given by the forces gathered for WNO's 1976 production, and in Boston in 2012. Roles. Scoring. 2 flutes, 2 oboes, 2 clarinets, 2 bassoons, 4 French horns, 2 trumpets, 3 trombones, timpani and 2 percussionists playing snare drum, bass drum, cymbals, triangle, gong, tubular bells, harp, celesta and strings. Synopsis. The opera is set in a forest clearing, with a group of buildings to one side. The buildings resemble a sanctuary, with a Greek temple in the middle. A set of spiral stairs leads off to the right and breaks off in midair. To the left, they lead down into the hillside. The costumes are contemporary, aside from the dances and the ancients. Act 1. A young group of people enters the clearing, surprised by the strange buildings. They hide as Strephon leads the dances and the ancients out of the temple. Mark emerges and asks for a new dance in honor of his wedding day. The ancients warn him of the dangers of thwarting tradition. To demonstrate the point, the ancient trips Mark as he dances. His bride Jennifer arrives, but she is distant, having run away from her father Kingfisher. She ascends the stone staircase and disappears. Kingfisher arrives, and Mark enters the cavern. Kingfisher thinks Jennifer is with Mark, and he summons Jack to break down the gates after the ancients refuse to let him inside. During the argument, a radiant Jennifer reappears. Mark returns as well, glowing blood red, representing starry heaven and fruitful earth. The two confront each other. Jennifer says her soul is free of earthly suffering, while Mark claims to have gained new appreciation for the miracle of mortality. Jennifer tries to show Mark his error in a mirror, but Mark causes the mirror to fall and shatter. The couple reverse the paths, and Jennifer descends into the hillside while Mark ascends the stairs and disappears. Act 2. In the clearing, Jack and Bella meet and decide to marry. They walk into the woods, and Strephon emerges with his dancers to perform 3 rituals. In the first, a hound chases a hare, but the hare escapes. In the second, an otter chases a fish, who hurts himself on the root of a tree. In the third, a bird with a broken wing is captured by a hawk. Bella is terrified by the rituals. Jack comforts her as she recomposes herself. Reassured, they resume the playful interlude and run off into the woods. Act 3. Kingfisher orders the group of young people to fetch Madame Sosostris, his clairvoyant. He is determined to thwart the ancients, convinced that they are responsible for Jennifer's disappearance. The group returns with Sosostris, and Kingfisher orders her to reveal Jennifer's location. She warns him against such inquiries into the dream world, but she reveals Jennifer to be lying in a meadow consorting with a winged lion who has the arms and face of a man. Enraged, Kingfisher insists Sosostris is lying to him, and he attempts to unveil her. As he peels away her veils, they begin to glow. When he has stripped all the veils away, he finds an incandescent bud, which blossoms to reveal Mark and Jennifer. Kingfisher aims his pistol at Mark, but the couple break from the meditative state to confront Kingfisher, causing his heart to fail. The crowd carries his body into the temple. Strephon emerges from the temple with his dancers to perform a 4th ritual, which celebrates carnal love by transforming it into the fire of divine love. The ritual concludes as the bud closes around Mark and Jennifer and bursts into flame. When the fire subsides, Mark, Jennifer and the ancients are gone. As the moonlight fades, Mark and Jennifer enter the clearing from opposite sides dressed for the wedding. They head off down the hill with the crowd as the sun rises. The dawn reveals that the buildings were never more than ruins. Recording Garlogy L100.524. Richard Lewis, Joan Sutherland, Adele Lee, Edith Coates, John Lanigan, Monica Sinclair, Otaki Kraus, Covent Garden Chorus and Orchestra, John Pritchard, conductor. Live recording of the 1955 premiere. Philips 6703.027. Reissued on CD by Lyrita, SRCD, 2217, 1995. Alberta Remedios, Joan Carlyle, Raymond Herring, Elizabeth Harwood, Stuart Burrows, Helen Watts, Covent Garden Chorus and Orchestra, Colin Davis, conductor.